Good morning to the State Transportation Board meeting for September. At this time, we will have our invocation, and so I'll give the invocation this morning, if you would, please. Mighty God, I want to thank you and hear our answer to our prayers. Thank you for getting us all here this morning safely. Be in the midst of our meeting today. Thank you for your presence that calms the troubled seas of life and speaks peace to our souls. Give us clear minds and peaceful hearts as we gather together according to your abundant mercy as we conduct the business of the Georgia Department of Transportation. Guide us in our decisions with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm, and may we excel for the citizens of Georgia. Amen. This time we'll have our pledges to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. And again, good morning for everyone being here this morning. I know it was kind of a rainy morning this morning. Can everybody hear me now? Great. But good morning again. In the morning, the weather was quite unusual this morning, but I know everybody got here safely and great. And it's great to see a great crowd this morning, a great group. At this time, we'll have roll call on our board members, if you would.
Okay, Congressional District 1, Ms. Purcell. Present. Congressional District 2, Mr. Floyd.
Here.
Congressional District 3, Mr. Westmoreland.
Here.
Congressional District 4, Mr. Brown. Here. Congressional District 5, Ms. Key. Okay, Congressional District 6, Mr. Abel. Here. Congressional District 7, Mr. Bowen.
Here.
Congressional District 8, Mr. Golden.
Here.
Congressional District 9, Ms. Dunn. Congressional District 10, Mr. Boswell. Congressional District 11, Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Congressional District 12, Mr. Grantham.
Here.
Congressional District 13, Ms. Lemon.
Here.
And Congressional District 14, Mr. Sharon.
Here.
Okay, thank you. At this time now, we will approve the minutes of the August board meeting and committee meetings. I'll now ask for a motion for approval. Any questions?
Second.
Any questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion approved. Oh, yes, please, if y'all would all mute your phones, if you don't mind, please. At this time now, we were report on the projects for the October letting. Mr. Albert Shelby, Director of Program Delivery.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, members of the board. I'm here to present the projects the department is proposing to advertise for the October 2020 letting. So before I present October, here are the FY 2021 results. We have led a total of 76 projects in FY 21. This chart shows the number of projects by improvement type. The value of these 76 projects is approximately $197 million through the August 2020 bid awards, with 72 GDOT-led projects worth approximately $193 million and 4 local-led projects worth $3.5 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type, with maintenance, bridge, and road projects making up the bulk of those types. Here are the results of the August 2020 letting. Of the 44 GDOT-led contracts presented to the board, 41 were awarded and 3 were rejected. Now I'm going to discuss the projects in the October 2020 letting. We have a total of 28 projects with 27 GDOT and 1 local let project. The next 2 slides list the 23 non-TIA projects arranged by congressional district. As you can see with this slide, we are letting a variety of projects throughout the state to address bridge capacity enhancement, maintenance, and safety issues. The first highlighted project will resurface State Route 25, US 17, from east of State Route 303 to the Sidney Lanier Bridge for a distance of 6.46 miles. This section was last repaved in 1998, 22 years ago. This project is an excellent example of our continuing efforts to maintain our existing infrastructure. The next project is the replacement of the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 100 over Little Turkey Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1954, 66 years ago. Here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. The next project consists of two projects which will be let together. These projects will widen and reconstruct State Route 9 from Upper Henry Road to Wynwood Parkway, from a 2-lane facility to a 4-lane facility. Also included with the widening are signal upgrades, a multi-use path, on-street parking, brick paver sidewalk, raised and flush medians, ornamental landscape trees, and pedestrian lighting. These projects will address capacity issues while also providing pedestrian-friendly facilities that are aesthetically pleasing. The next project will widen State Route 10, US 78 Lexington Highway, from a 4-lane divided roadway to a 6-lane divided roadway with a 20-foot raised median and sidewalks. The project also reconstructs the northbound State Route 10 loop exit and entrance ramps by removing the northbound entrance loop ramp, adding a northbound exit loop ramp for westbound State Route 10 US 78, and adding a northbound entrance ramp directly across from Barnett Shoals Road. The next project will widen State Route 4 US 1 from south of George Hill Road to State Route 29 from a 2-lane facility to a 4-lane facility with a 44-foot depressed median for a distance of 4.6 miles. The project is part of the Governor's Road Improvement Program, also known as GRIP. This project will provide additional capacity and support economic development. The final highlighted project is located at the intersection of State Route 23, US 1, US 301, and State Route 196 in Tattnall County. The project will replace the existing unsignalized intersection with a 1-lane roundabout. This project will reduce crash frequency and severity while improving operational efficiency at the intersection and is an excellent example of our focus on safety. This project will be advertised in October 2020 for design build opportunity. The actual let date is in December of 2020, but we are advertising early to encourage robust bidding. The project itself includes installation of 5 dynamic message signing boards to overhead structures located across the state of Georgia. Fiber optic cable will be installed both in the outside grass shoulders or in the urban median. Additional concrete poles with closed circuit television camera units will be installed at or near each location. Now we'll present the TIA projects.
Thank you, Albert. Good morning. The TIA program is letting 5 projects in October, 3 projects in the southern Georgia region, and 2 projects in central Savannah River area. The first project is located in Bacon County and will be packaged together with the next 2 projects. Corinth Road resurfacing. This project will consist of asphalt patching, leveling, and resurfacing on Corinth Road in Bacon County. 10 Mile Church Road resurfacing. This project will also consist of asphalt patching, leveling, and resurfacing on 10 Mile Church Road. And finishing out the Bacon County projects, Cumberland Road resurfacing will also include asphalt patching, leveling, and resurfacing. The total Bacon County package will consist of approximately 7.5 miles and a TIA investment of a little over $1.1 million in southern Georgia. State Route 43 passing lane in Lincoln County. This is Congressional District 10, CSRA. This project will construct a northbound and southbound passing lane along State Route 43 just north of Clark Hill Lake. This project will represent a TM investment of $5.5 million in a little under 2 miles. And the last project in CSRA as well, Congressional District 10. This is State Route 17 drainage improvements in McDuffie County. This project will improve stormwater collection systems, curbing, piping, and sidewalks along both sides of State Route 17 from White Oak Road to Harrison Road. This project will also be twinned with a GDOT maintenance resurfacing project to go along at the same time. This project represents a $2.5 million investment in CSRA.
So we have 28 projects proposed for the October 2020 letting. This chart shows the distribution by improvement types. The estimate of the projects in the October 2020 letting is approximately $120 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type. I ask for your consideration for approval of the projects proposed for the October 2020 letting.
Any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Shelby, thank you for that great report there.
Absolutely.
At this time now, we will have the Commissioner's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations on your chairmanship. First meeting. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, it's good to be with you again. And for all those joining us virtually, good to see you virtually. Let me start with a flood update. I was just getting a text as I was walking up. So just thank you for being here in this remnants of Hurricane Sally. But overnight, we had at least 38 incidents requiring response. 24 were flooding, 14 were debris. We have at least 8 routes closed at the moment due to flooding. Some of those locations are in Stewart County, also in Fulton County, Crawford County, Peach County, Macon County. In Washington County on State Route 24, we do have 2 washouts. I just saw one of those where we've lost at least half the road, if not more. And we have at least 3 places that are not flooded or closed due to trees and power lines down at the moment. So if you would just keep in mind our maintenance and operation staff that are out responding in this weather. Certainly keep in mind our heroes and champ operators that are also rendering aid to those in need this morning in travel. So with that, let me move forward into our normal type of reporting. Transportation fund collections report for August 2020. Revenue was $164.8 million. The breakdown on that was $152.2 million in excise, $12.58 million in transportation fees. That brings this fiscal year to date total to $326.9 million. The break on that's about $304 million in excise and $23.5 million in fees. This puts us about $15 million less from this year back to a year ago. Let me give you some percentages for comparison. For August motor fuel, it was down 2.5% as compared to a year ago, and year to date was only down 1.5%. So that may be a little surprising. Impact fees, being heavy vehicle impact fees or electric vehicle fees, for the month of August were up almost 21%. For the year, up 33%. In hotel fees for August, and I played a little game the other day, I had people guess. I won't make you guess, but hotel fees were down 30% for August. In year to date, about 35%. And that was a little surprising to me that they weren't down more than that. So I would take this information as very positive, knowing where we are as a society and what's going on, not only in Georgia, but across the nation. Let me move into our employment figures. For closing out last month, 3,828 full-time employees, including 74 temporary maintenance staff. We hired 27 employees, promoted 18 employees, and had 69 separations for one purpose or another. For our procurement report of professional services for August, 178 contracts were executed at a value of $63.3 million for our engineering, design, right-of-way, geotechnical, and other professional services. That brings our year-to-date total already very quickly to 333 contracts executed, valued at $190.2 million. So let me now talk a little bit about federal reauthorization. We are certainly, as we talked about funding and employees, we're certainly focused on what's happening. As a reminder that the FAST Act expires at the end of this month, and the end of this month seems imminent. We'll be on a call later today with AASHTO to talk about this, but 88 organizations across the nation, such as the Chamber of Commerce, such as AASHTO, such as ARTBA, all the transportation type associations, have all come together. 88 have signed a letter to Congress, to both House and Senate leadership, both majority and minority parties there, asking for three things: that they pass legislation before September 30th that does three things: extend the FAST Act for at least 1 year with increased investment levels, add emergency funding to state departments of transportation and public transit agencies in the tune of $37 billion for transportation departments and $32 billion for transit agencies, to try to bridge the gap in the loss of revenue that has occurred. And then lastly, provide solvency for the Highway Trust Fund for the duration of the extension, to make sure that the Highway Trust Fund is basically funded and is solvent. So that has gone to Congress. I think that went on the 9th of this month. And so there's a lot of, you can see it, not only are AASHTO and DOTs advocating, but obviously a large group of associations. So we'll stay tuned and keep you informed of what happens on that front. So let me go back just a moment and talk about projects that have opened to traffic since the last time we were together. And today, again, trying to be expedient, we're just going to focus on some bridge projects, because I think those of interest, and certainly on a day like today, you certainly need good bridges. First project is in Congressional District 1, which is Chatham County. And this was the Pipe Makers Canal project, which is State Route 25, just right outside of the Georgia ports. And this project was a canal project to build a bridge over a canal, but it also builds a bridge over the Mason Mega Rail Yard expansion project that's happened with the Georgia Ports Authority. That's where they will build bigger and longer trains, and the trains will now go under this bridge instead of blocking the crossings on State Route 25, and that has a big effect in the Garden City. And I know Ann is very aware of this. This is a fantastic example of partnership with the department and the Georgia Ports Authority, not only to take care of aged infrastructure, but to promote economic development and all the good things that the port has to provide for the state. This project we actually closed the road, so it was totally closed, and got in and got out ahead of schedule and under budget, represented right at a $12 million investment. The industrial company, or TIC, was the contractor. So big congratulations to the District 5 team and the contractor for making sure that was done ahead of schedule. Georgia Ports Authority was extremely excited and have already put some press releases out about having that done. The next project is in Congressional District 2, Baker County, which is GDOT District 4. And this was a bridge replacement project on State Route 200 at Itchaway-Notchaway Creek. Everybody knows where Itchaway-Notchaway Creek is. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Southern Concrete Company was the contractor, opened up to traffic August 26th, represents about a $12 million investment. This project was completed under budget, and I might add, this was a pretty complicated bridge replacement project as well. Moving up into Congressional District 14 in Chattooga County, GDOT District 6, replacement of a bridge on Tolliver Springs Road at the Chattooga River. This contractor that built this project was Tidwell Construction, replaced the bridge that was built in 1955, very similar to what Albert just reported on replacing some 1950 vintage bridges. Represented a $3.5 million project, and it was completed under budget. So let me talk a little bit about reauthorization, talk to you a little bit about revenue, but I also like to show you what's going on traffic. So sorry for the heavy graphic this morning, but if you look at the heavy dark line, which says 0, that is was last year. So we're comparing traffic volumes on interstates and state routes to a year ago, same day, Thursday to a year ago. The gold line or yellow line are state routes, and the gray line or the darker line are interstates. And so you can see we really sort of holding steady about 10 to 15% down on traffic volume in aggregate. And this, again, this is all our traffic count stations. So I think it's about 135 to 150 traffic count stations across the state. If you look at the traffic volumes across the state, they're different. Interstate truck volume is actually up higher than it was last year this time. Rural interstates are down slightly. State routes in rural areas are pretty much normal. But what's sort of driving these numbers down is urban interstate traffic, and urban traffic here in Metro Atlanta is still off more significantly than it is in the rest of the state. And I think there's good rationale behind that. So I just wanted to share that with you, but pretty much sort of stabilized. You see some odd spots. Those are usually holidays. That's why you see some of the spots that you see. But we'll keep you informed on this and keep watching this traffic and keep looking at how those revenues are affected as well. So now, as always like to talk about the things that are going on in the department and some good news. And I would say today's commissioner's report is full of good news. It may sound like bragging before it's over, and I think that's okay. So the first good news is we got informed yesterday that we received a $22 million bill grant from the USDOT that will further the State Route 96 corridor projects that go from I-16 over to I-75. In fact, there's 6 segments that we had projects on, and 4 of the 6 are underway, and this will move us forward to the next segment. This segment starts over at about State Route 87 and goes over to I-16, or just to the south of I-16 from that where we widened before. As you know, this is a critical corridor that connects I-75 and I-16 together. A lot of freight distribution centers on the I-16 end. Certainly supports the commerce and flow of goods to Robins Air Force Base over on the west side there on I-75. This project is one we've had designed. The right-of-way has been bought, and now we were needing funding for construction. So this $22 million in federal commitment goes with about a $27 million commitment of state dollars to advance this next segment. And this would leave us only one more segment to go to complete that 4-lane. So very exciting. It's great news. Really excited to have this opportunity, and a great example to show how state and federal dollars can leverage each other to get a project done. So very appreciative to Secretary Chow and the team at USDOT for reviewing many applications for a very competitive process. And we're glad that Georgia was one of the awardees of the bill grants. Staying on the good news page, we received also an $18.1 million grant from the USDOT for airport improvements. Again, a very competitive program. In total, there was about $1.2 billion for airport safety and infrastructure grants that were distributed at 405 airports across the nation. Georgia received the $18.1 million and basically goes toward these projects. It's going to go toward a $1.8 million investment for runway rehabilitation at the Thomaston-Hudson County Airport, $4.7 million to Athens-Ben Eltz Airport there for taxiway rehabilitation. And Mr. Boswell, you might remember, we rehabbed the runway just a couple years ago. In DeKalb Peachtree Airport, runway excursion mitigation and midfield taxiway improvements for $3.2 million. And over in Augusta, the Augusta Regional Airport at Bushfield for aircraft rescue and firefighting safety equipment, taxiway construction, terminal building improvements, and apron rehabilitation at $8.3 million. So you guys can all wrestle with Don why he got more money than everybody else, but that was based on FAA's, if I ever say FFA, just know that I grew up where I grew up. So FAA's evaluation and our partnership and in the work by our intermodal office. And again, this does require match, state and local match. But again, a great win for airports. Now, keeping it with good news, I want to highlight somebody, as Meg Perkle was named Georgia Engineer or Government Engineer of the Year at the ASCE Georgia Engineers. This was at the ASCE Georgia Engineers Award, which was actually held in person but socially distanced. So that was sort of a unique kind of awards banquet. Every year, Georgia Society Professional Engineer recognizes outstanding engineers for their individual achievements in their various professional fields. This selection is really based on the engineers' contributions to the profession, public welfare, and humankind. And just as GSPE is really a society of professional engineers, you know, they promote engineering, a great group, and certainly a great recognition for Meg. Meg wasn't able to attend in person, but we're going to award this to her today. So Meg, come social. I'm a socially distance. Hey Meg.
Yes,
Get your picture.
I did.
All right, but wait, there's more. Meg was also just received the 2020 ARTBA Ethel Birchland Women in Leadership Award. ARTBA is the American Road and Transportation Builders Association. So this award celebrates the extraordinary efforts of individuals that demonstrate leadership and dedication to innovation and transportation, as well as promotion of women in leadership, so in the industry. So Meg will accept the official award via a virtual national convention in October, later in October. So congratulations, Meg. But wait, no, I'm just kidding. But even more importantly, another tremendous recognition that is so well deserved is our own Carol Comer, who receives the NASHO Award. And congratulations for Carol, who received the Kenneth A. Rowe Ambassador of Aviation Award. That's a mouthful. At the National Association of State Aviation Officials, if you were wondering what NASO was. This award is presented to state aviation directors who demonstrate spirit, optimism, and fierce pride in leading their state aviation agencies. Carol certainly, I underscored all of those because she certainly demonstrates all of those. And she received this award after having also been recognized among the top 100 most influential women in Georgia by Engineering Georgia magazine. I know all of you know Carol, but you may not know her history all the way. Carol began as an aviation planner with the department in 1997, but before that, she was in the aviation division in the North Carolina Department of Transportation. As you can see, Carol consistently proves to be an outstanding leader in our transportation. So congratulations to Carol. Very proud of her. Now, I told you this may sound like bragging. So the next update is we received a tremendous award from AASHTO, from the AASHTO's Committee on Transportation Communications, affectionately known as TRANSCOM. GDOT's communication team brought home the prestigious Transcom Excel Award for outstanding marketing campaigns in the Best Integrated Campaign Without a Consultant category. A lot of categories out there. This award was received for the multi-year initiative and partnership that we've had with Scholastic. And I've presented to you guys, and you've seen our work with Scholastic. You remember Scholastic from your school days of sending home that circular where you could buy books. But also Scholastic basically provides information and teacher, I'm losing the word, the curriculum. Thank you. My wife will be so offended. The curriculum for teachers. And so this is what the recognition is for. It's really our focus in middle school, trying to impress through 6th and 8th grade, recognizing the risk, as we call it. And again, it provides the curriculum to students, teachers, and parents, and valuable resources for addressing the dangers of distracted driving. This is also part of our Drive Alert, Arrive Alive, and See and Be Seen campaign. So I'm so proud of this because it's been more than about a decade since we had won this award from Transcom. So I want to again congratulate Scott Higley and the entire strategic communications team across the entire state, and also our traffic operations office who really is pushing the safety message out there. So congratulations for that. I'm glad you asked, because this next one has a chance to. Boy, that's a good setup. I'll tell you later. The Columbus Riverwalk is a contender for the National People's Choice Award. And last month I told you that this project had made the list, if you will, but it's now competing at the national level for the 2020 America's Transportation Awards. So if you look at our website, if you pull out your phone, you can go and vote. This could be the 3rd consecutive year that we won this prestigious award, and it does come with a $1,000 award, of which we always donate to a nonprofit associated with whatever the project is. So voting is open now. It goes through October 25th. We have a link on our webpage that you can go there. You can vote once every 24 hours on every device you have. So this is where it is okay to vote early and vote often. It is acceptable to vote early and vote often. So please do that. Again, a great TIA project, or multiple TIA projects, a great thing to have in Columbus. The Riverwalk is such a nice add to that area, and it's been a long time in coming to get to this point, and glad it's being recognized. So since that's where you can vote early and vote often, let me transition to the next update where you can't vote. You can vote early, but you can't vote often. And that's our partnership with the Secretary of State's office to promote Georgia poll worker recruitment. As you know, and if you've heard on the news, there is a potential for shortage due to higher voter turnout, and obviously the conditions now with COVID-19. So we have partnered with the Secretary of State's office to push the message out, to try to, again, educate people, get people that wants to work at polls, show them how to get set up and do that. And we're glad, again, to be able to be an extension of messaging at the state level using our resources to do so. So as many things are virtual now, I always want to give you the update on our continued efforts in the virtual arena. And we've...
A quick question.
Yes.
Is that a paid day off for GDOT employees who work the poll? Or is it a vacation day?
That's a good question. I'll have to read the fine print and get back to you. So there is the leave to be able to vote, but as far as the working, I don't know. Good question. So one of the things, again, in the virtual world, we've continued to be successful and continue to work to advance working with our DBE partners, small business veteran-owned companies. We've been hosting virtual events. For example, Our state-supported funding program hosted a branding and marketing webinar in July that we had 129 people register for and attend. I mean, the turnout for our virtual events are much better than the in-person had been because it's so much easier to get to. We've had, since April, we've hosted 9 other such outreach events with a total of 460 participants. So we've been very pleased to see the turnout and the attendance. During some of these events, the attendees seem to be more engaged because you can use the chat function, as all of you have been on Zoom and other meetings. And not only people feel more comfortable in the chat arena, but also you're able to save those chats, and then we can use those instead of people furiously taking notes. We're able to take that chat information and be responsive to it, and also share it for those people that attend it. A lot of good interaction through the chat function. So we're very excited to continue this focus and have this opportunity again to continue to engage, maybe even more effectively than we were before. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, in the virtual world, we had a virtual ribbon cutting just a month or so ago for 85, but now we're doing virtual groundbreakings. And through the power of editing, you can actually see all those people with a shovel in the ground at one time, and they weren't even there on the same day. So want to congratulate Ann for working hard to pull people together for the I-16, I-95 groundbreaking, the virtual groundbreaking. We had Georgia Ports Authority Griff Lynch there. We had State Representative Ron Stevens, a lot of local officials, and there's a 4-minute video that we'll have on our website today that I encourage you to go check out, our virtual groundbreaking. And as you know, I-16, I-95 interchange reconstruction and widening of I-16 is one of our major mobility investment program projects. So we're very excited that ground is broken and you're seeing construction, and so this is a great way to do that. And finally, in conclusion, you know, I know in these difficult times, it's always nice to get a good news story. We're not hearing a lot of those kind of things in the news these days. So I want to assure you, on a day like today, and especially think about a day like today, that this story will resonate with you. This story is about a District 4 maintenance foreman, Philip Acorn, and his brother, Trey. This was on a weekend, and they were traveling from Florida, and they saw an elderly couple who was driving on US 1 from Waycross to Jacksonville. They had a lot of speeding traffic by them, and they had a flat tire, and they had trouble. They actually had trouble even making it to the shoulder to get to a place of safety. This couple called several roadside assistance services, but were unsuccessful contacting anyone to help them. However, Philip and his brother happened along by them and saw them, and they pulled over to help. This is, again, with immense patience and completely unbothered by a significant rainstorm that was going on. They moved in to help the couple. They spent 3 hours helping the couple getting what they needed, going back and forth to an automotive store, getting what they needed to get them back on their way. The couple reached out to us as GDOT to relay their experience by saying, and I quote, "We really needed help. A truck pulled over with 2 friendly brothers, Philip and Trey Acorn. They spent 3 hours in the rain getting us back on the road." By the way, this was the weekend. This was not during the weekday. So I just want to thank Philip and his brother Trey for doing a good deed, simply showing the best in society and representing GDOT well, even on their day off. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. I'll be glad to entertain any questions or comments. Oh, I'm sorry. There's Trey and Philip.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great report. Thank you for, again, the great leadership that we have in the department and these awards that we received. That is wonderful. Is there any questions from the Commissioner?
All right.
Thank you for that great report, Commissioner. At this time, I would like to introduce our distinguished Chief Engineer, Mrs. Meg Perkle, and the great leadership that she offers our department. And thank you, Meg, for the great award, not only the great award, but the great job that you do for us here at GDOT.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. So good morning, everybody. It's so good to see everybody. And I have the fun job of showing you a visualization of what the proposed improvements will look like on two of our MMIP projects, the I-20 interchanges at 285 on the east side and the west side. And these two interchanges have sort of been notorious and long known as for their congestion and known as freight bottlenecks. And in fact, the west side interchange is ranked number 7th nationwide as a freight bottleneck, and the east side interchange is ranked 24th nationwide. So these are long overdue improvements, and so glad we can address these projects with the MMIP program. For those watching at home, please note that the video may lag just a little bit. But for anyone who may want to watch these videos again, they are available on the web. After our presentation, you can go look at www.majormobilityga.com. Scroll down to upcoming events and details, and you'll see the links to these two projects there. So both of these projects are in some form of public involvement process right now. The I-20 East interchange is in the official public hearing process for the environmental document, and the I-20 West interchange is just starting the public information open house process to get that first feedback from the public on the project. So the visualization videos were developed to enhance this public involvement process and allow the public to see what the project looks like and what it's going to include. The first video will start with the East interchange, and the project will begin at the 285-20 interchange and travel from west to east. And then that will be followed immediately by the video for the west interchange. So let's get started. So please note the map on the right side of the screen with the red dot that indicates exactly where we are flying over the roadway. And in this visualization on the east side, the darker pavement represents new lanes, new pavement. The project limits for the east side interchange are along I-20, about 6.6 miles from east of Columbia Drive to Lithonia Industrial Boulevard, and along I-285, about 2.8 miles from Columbia Drive to Glenwood Road. The project stretches out to Lithonia Industrial Boulevard to the east in order to make the interchange more functional. So you need to have auxiliary lanes that address the congestion on the approaches and on the exits of the interchange so that the higher capacity interchange functions correctly. The project will, of course, reconfigure and reconstruct the I-285, I-20 interchange. It will add auxiliary lanes along I-20 eastbound and westbound and add a new I-20 collector distributor road, which you can see here, that ends at Wesley Chapel Road. It will realign Farrington Road across I-20 to be an extension of DeKalb Medical Parkway. It will construct and enhance 9 bridges, 7 new bridges, and 2 bridges will be widened. The construction footprint of this project will not preclude future express lanes in this corridor, so we're building the footprint to allow for that expansion of express lanes in the future. Currently, on this project, we have an approved draft final environmental assessment. We are finalizing the bridge and costing plans. Statements of qualifications were received yesterday from proposed bidders, and so we're in the review process. And just as a reminder, we are in active procurement, so we are in the cone of silence for this project. And we expect to announce the shortlisted proposers by the end of November. So, because we have a draft EA and the concept plans are available online, and we are in the public hearing process for this draft environmental document. So the information for this project was put online for this process on August 6th, 2020. And in keeping with Governor Kemp's directive that we keep work going, we are doing our public hearing a little bit differently than we usually do. And with Federal Highway's blessing, we are doing a virtual public hearing process. It gives the public a lot of time to comment on the project. They can view the information at their convenience from their homes. And I think these videos really help them get a feel for what's involved in the project. So this online platform is available, and it's got virtual meeting rooms where they can go look at different information about the project. On Thursday, September 3rd, from 5:30 to 7:30, our project staff were available on an open online chat so that the public could ask questions and get them answered by subject matter experts. About 10 people called in that evening to participate. On Thursday, September 10th, just a week ago, from 5 to 8 p.m., we hosted a socially distanced, in-person public hearing open house in the parking lot of the Stanford Performing Arts Center. And about 44 people drove up to that and were able to view the project information from their vehicles. So the public comment period on the document closes next week on September 22nd. So where we are on this project is we expect to have the final environmental document approved by the end of this year, following, of course, receiving comments and responding to those. We will be issuing the first draft of the request for proposals at the end of this year as well. Final proposals will be due next August, and we will have selected a proposer by about a year from now, next October in 2021. We will issue a notice to proceed in early 2022, and substantial completion on construction should be done by spring of 2025. So that's not that far away, if you think about it. I know it sounds far away, but it's really not. It's going to be here before you know it. I am. So here the video for this interchange project is wrapping up, heading up the 285 corridor to Glenwood Road. So the next video will start. And this video starts where Thornton Road is basically right behind the viewer. So the project stretches out to Thornton Road, similar to going out to Lithonia Industrial on the west side. On the east side, we have to address the approaches with auxiliary lanes so that you can utilize the full capacity of the new interchange. So here, the Thornton Road eastbound entrance ramp is about a mile-long parallel road, and we are extending that as an auxiliary lane all the way to 285. This project will reconstruct the interchange to remove the left-hand exits and entrances and improve the design speed through the interchange. It's got some tight loop ramps. This project will be constructing a collector distributor system on I-20 westbound from the interchange at 285 to Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and you'll see that coming up right after this interchange here. This project will be modifying several bridges along I-20, including bridges over CSX Railroad and the Chattahoochee River. And this project will be adding new lane and improvements along I-285 southbound from DL Hollowell Parkway to Martin Luther King Drive. Here in the video, you can see the CD lanes approaching Fulton Industrial Boulevard. This project is a little bit earlier in development than the East Side Interchange. We are currently developing the costing plans, and we are just starting the public information open house process. Procurement activities for this project will start at the end of this year. So the environmental process, which was begun in 2018, is ongoing. I believe that the virtual meeting room for the public information open house opened last week on the 9th. And the project team will host 2 live chat sessions scheduled for September 22nd and September 24th. And I'll give you more details on those in a minute. Here you can see we're flying over the interchange itself and stretching out those loop ramps to create flyovers, which will make it much easier for the heavy freight traffic that goes through this interchange. We expect to have the actual public hearings on the environmental document next spring. We will begin developer selection in the third quarter of 2022. Construction will start at the end of 2023, and substantial completion will be accomplished by the summer of 2026. So the public information houses, that's ongoing right now. We have a GIS-based platform with a website that will host all of the public information open house meetings. And so this virtual format allows us to extend the time frame that people can comment on the project, and again, they can do it at their convenience. The site went live last week and will be accepting comments until October 8th, when the virtual rooms will close. And so the virtual rooms are when you open the website, it's like walking into a meeting. There's a welcome room. It's got general information about the project and these videos. There's a design room that will let you look at the actual layout plans and more details about the design. An environmental room that includes the federal guidelines and environmental resources along the project. Air quality and noise room. A right-of-way room that will allow people to see what will happen if their property is impacted by the project. And of course, a public comment room where it shows people all the options they have for leaving comments. The 2 live chat sessions are scheduled from 4 to 7 p.m. on the 22nd and the 24th, and that will allow the public an opportunity to talk to our engineers and environmentalists and right-of-way staff to ask questions of subject matter. And the printed displays, if there are folks who want to see them in person, are available for viewing at our location bureau out at Fulton Industrial Boulevard and at our District 7 office. There won't be staff there with the public to answer questions, but they can pick up a comment card after viewing the displays and leave a comment. So, just again, all of this information and these videos are available on the web. If any of you want a deeper dive look at some of these projects, especially those of y'all whose districts encompass these projects, I'd be happy to meet with you anytime and go through them. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions for Meg? What a great process that we have here to see all of this and how it will look and how it impacts. I mean, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. Is this the first time that we've ever used this type in a meeting, in a
I mean, we did a visualization for State Route 400, okay, and, which was very effective, but this might be the first time we're doing heavy virtual public involvement like this, but I expect it to be very successful.
Y'all have done a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. Seriously, it is.
The virtual HOH, I guess, was 400.
That's right. That's right. We did that in the spring.
One, and how did it go? I mean, how many attendees were there? You know?
Gosh, it was very well attended, and I don't have the numbers with me, and I don't know if anyone. Go ahead, Tim.
I think about 1,000 total hits to the site, and in-person questions, people asking questions. It's about 300. So we've seen lots of comments. It was pretty successful.
Yeah, and as an attendee, I found it incredibly well put together and effective. So thanks again.
Thank you.
We'll go up on the website.
Yeah. I can send you the link. I'll have Kristen send it all of you.
So this again shows the quality of leadership and work we have here at GDOT. You know, the impact it's having on our state as well as our economic development when you see the processes and things that are going on for our future and how well it's done. And it's just amazing to see all this happening now.
Thank you.
If not any questions, any comments, we will go on to our next the triennial DBE goal update by Ms. Kimberly King. If you would please come forward. We're glad to have you this morning to give us an update.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, commissioners, thank you.
Good morning.
I am here this morning, as indicated by the chairman, to provide you an overview on our triennial goal-setting process. Triennial, meaning every 3 years, according to the Disadvantaged Enterprise statute at 49 CFR Part 26, we must submit to the Federal Highway Administration a new goal for the agency every 3 years. And so my conversation this morning is about how we go about setting that goal, really offering you an overview of that methodology. So we're required to set that goal because as a recipient of federal funds, we have a DBE program that says a portion of those federal funds that we receive should be expended with disadvantaged business enterprises. So we spend time trying to make sure that we have DBEs for whom we can offer participation opportunities on those projects where we're setting goals. So every month we are reviewing our projects, those projects that Albert talks to you about. Every month the EEO office gets lists of those projects so that we can assess and review those projects to set appropriate goals on those federally funded projects. Once those goals have been assessed and attached to those projects, we then communicate with our supportive services provider about those project activities that are available for DBE participation. That supportive services provider, in turn, then communicates with our DBEs about those project activities, talks to them about where those opportunities are, what kinds of work opportunities are available, whether or not they have an interest in pursuing those work activities, and if so, do they need assistance to get properly engaged on those projects. And that engagement happens when the DBEs find out the what and the when and the how and the where of those projects. What kind of work activity is available for both prime and subcontracting? When are these projects being let? When are the pre-bid meetings for these projects? Where in the state are these projects being let, so that we can determine whether or not it's a location that we are able and amenable to mobilize in? And how is the DBE participation being gauged on this project? So our federally funded supportive services provider, CEI, has been active and intentional in its engagement with our DBEs during this COVID-19 pandemic. As the commissioner indicated in his report, we are constant in our outreach activity, and we're doing it virtually. You will have become accustomed to seeing CEI around the state doing outreach activities, doing training, doing workshops, but we're not able to do that same kind of in-person activity. So we've been doing virtual activity, but we've been doing virtual activity at a high level. So those live, virtual, interactive webinars have been ongoing since March of 2020. At least 3 a month are happening with our supportive services consultant. The DBE capability statement workshop, I wanted to add to this presentation because it was really interesting how that came about. I receive, and very often I receive, DBE capability statements from firms by way of introduction. So the firms are sending me their capability statements to introduce the kind of work activity that they are engaged in hopes that I will communicate that to the agency in terms of those departments that might have an interest in that work activity, to prime contractors that might have an interest in that work activity. But a particular DBE sent me a capability statement that had probably 22 different work code classes on it. And then looking in that capability statement, I communicated with that DBE, part of the issue is how many work class codes you have on this capability statement. You have,
Somebody's got their phone open. If you would please mute all phones.
That number of work class codes can be confusing. So sometimes those class codes are connected to one another. Sometimes they're completely unrelated to one another. So my suggestion to that firm was perhaps you want to consider having multiple capability statements, more than one, so that you can align those work class codes in an order that makes sense, so that when you're communicating to a prime contractor or to the agency about what your service offering is, it makes sense to the recipient of that document. And what I thought in having that conversation with that DBE is, if this is a firm that has this issue, other firms may have this issue. So I communicated with Tom Quinn, who is our program manager for that particular CEI engagement, and told him, let us create a DBE capability statement workshop. And it has been one of the best attended workshops that we've had virtually. We've had workshops on financial management, about making sure that you understand how you're costing your job so that your firm is making money. You want to be competitive, but you don't want to be overly priced. You don't want to be underpriced. Startup and growth planning. Where do you see your firm in a year, 2 years, 5 years, perfecting your pricing? Again, let's look at how you're costing this job. What elements are you considering? What elements should you consider? Marketing and sales, again, sort of back to that capability statement. How are you communicating the service offering that your firm has. And then roundtable sessions where DBEs are able to talk to one another. They're able to talk about what's working and what's not working. They're able to talk about what we call start, stop, and continue. Our state-funded supportive services consultant, who is itself a DBE, MH Miles, again, has been active and intentional in its engagement with DBEs during the COVID crisis. They have been doing, again, generally they would be going around the state to our districts talking about their routine maintenance activity in those districts and those capital construction projects that are funded with state dollars. But again, we're having to pull back on the in-person communication and do more virtual activity. But they have been active and intentional in that virtual activity. In fact, as late as September 10th, there was an outreach event done in District 2 where the district engineer, his maintenance staff were there to talk to the DBEs, the small businesses present on that virtual engagement about the kind of routine maintenance activities anticipated in that district, the value of those routine maintenance activities. The Small Business Development Center in Decatur has continued its operations during the COVID crisis. Even though they can't see those same large groups, they are meeting with people, they're masked up, they're socially distanced, they're smaller groups, but when it is appropriate for them to meet with individuals at the Business Help Center, they are absolutely doing so. DBE firms are working on our federally and state-funded projects because we are engaging those DBEs. We are active and intentional. We are deliberate in going out and identifying where the work activity is, where the DBEs are that can operate in those work activities, and because of that, $32,316,950 was awarded to DBE firms during our October to March reporting period. DBE firms are working on our MMIP projects. $61 million, in excess of $61 million, was awarded to DBE firms on those mega projects. $6.1 million was awarded to our DBE firms on maintenance projects in fiscal year 20. $1.4 million was awarded to our DBE firms on rapid response projects in fiscal year 20. And $739,638 was awarded to DBE firms on our quick response projects. And on those quick response projects, the unit that is proposing on those projects has a responsibility to contact at least 3 vendors looking for quotes on those projects. By policy, one of those 3 must be a disadvantaged business enterprise. So again, deliberate and intentional in making sure that DBE participation is being provided. And because of that kind of engagement, more than $120 million has been awarded to our disadvantaged business enterprises on these project types. DBE awards are happening on our state and federal projects because we are making sure it happens, because we are assessing our projects for appropriate goals to be attached. Goals for prime contractors, goals for subcontractors that provide opportunity for our disadvantaged business enterprises, so much so that our prime contractors have doubled since our reporting period last year. Last year we reported 8 prime contracts awarded to DBEs. This year we reported 17. So the deliberate, the deliberate and intentional engagement that we're doing with our disadvantaged business enterprises makes a difference. And we do that because we have that responsibility, according to the Federal Highway Administration, to make sure that disadvantaged business enterprise is a consideration in our federally funded projects. But we don't limit that consideration to our federally funded projects. We look at DBE opportunity on our state-funded projects. We look at DBE on our MMIP projects. We look at DBE on our routine maintenance and our quick response and our rapid response, because we want to make sure these multiple opportunity avenues are being communicated to and provided for disadvantaged business enterprise. And so when we are attaching goals to those projects, we are able to say that our DBEs have the capacity to do the kind of work anticipated by those projects, because we're looking very carefully at who those disadvantaged business enterprises are. So when we communicate that methodology to the Federal Highway Administration, we do so with a mathematical calculation. So we have 2 steps to our methodology. The first is to create what we call a step 1 base figure. That step 1 base figure says that we first take all of the ready, willing, and able DBEs as compared to all firms, including DBEs, that are ready, willing, and able. Ready, willing, and able to do what? ready, willing, and able to do the kind of work anticipated by those federally funded GDOT projects. So the ready, willing, and able DBEs are our numerator. All firms ready, willing, and able are our denominator. And then we weigh that number by the kind of work activity that is anticipated. We then get our step one base figure, which we have calculated to be 16.2%. Our second step adjustment is about how GDOT does business. So because this is a 3-year goal, we look at our previous 3 years of goal attainment to see how we've done, because our next 3 years of a goal ought not to be so far removed from where we have been in the past. There should be some consistency, should be some reasonableness to that goal setting. And so using that past participation gives the Federal Operating Administration an indication of where we can be, where we should be with our goals. So we get the median number from those 3 years of past participation, which is 16.3% right there in the middle. And we add that 16.3% median past participation to our baseline goal of 16.2%, and we divide that number by 2. That gives us 16.3%, which we round to 16%. Yes, ma'am?
What happened in 2019? 12.2, we took a dip.
12.2 took a dip because of the kind of project activity that we were using our federal dollar for. Our federal dollar was really spent largely on maintenance activity. You will recall from Albert's presentation today and the presentation he did for you in June, where he talked about how we were spending our federal funds. We're doing lots of maintenance projects. Those maintenance projects are what we refer to as sort of single source or single item project activities, meaning there's not a lot of subcontract opportunity available on those project types. So because the subcontracting opportunity is smaller, the goals on those projects are smaller. So cumulatively, that number indicates that the kinds of project-specific goals we were setting were smaller because we were doing maintenance activity.
Is there not an opportunity there to develop some DBE primes or DBEs in that area that can take advantage of that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, what we're doing on those maintenance projects is identifying where those prime contracting opportunities could be and notifying our supportive services consultant to make sure they are telling our DBEs, these are projects that you should be going after as a prime contractor. Thank you for that.
And let me add into, again, that has a big effect, and then 2018 had a little bit of an anomaly as well, and you might remember when we reported that one out a couple of years ago. That was due to the Northwest Corridor, and there was a single project that really skewed the number as well. So that's why the 3-year look back and taking the median, because there are ups and downs. But on 2019 as well, is all the project goals were met, with maybe the exception of a couple here and there projects. So it's again, there's a program and a project, and this is the outcome of the projects that always are leaning toward trying to achieve the program goal.
Correct. That overall program goal is the 16% that I'm talking to you about today, but those project-specific goals may be lesser or greater than that 16%. So we get to the 16% overall agency goal, which is what we will communicate to the Federal Highway Administration for the next 3 years. So for 2021, 2022, and 2023, our overall agency goal will be 16%, meaning that we will use this methodology to let Federal Highway know how we anticipate going forward with our overall agency goal. The commissioner often refers to GDOT as simply the best, and we work hard to live up to his expectation, but to the agency's expectation as well. And you can see that our 16% overall agency goal is certainly competitive as it relates to our state DOTs in this southeastern region. South Carolina is at 13% for an overall agency goal. Florida is at 11% for an overall agency goal, and Alabama and Tennessee are both at 8%. Georgia at 16% certainly is leading the charge as it relates to an overall agency goal for disadvantaged business enterprise participation. And we are doing so, again, because we are deliberate, because we are intentional in making sure that DBE opportunities are being provided. We are communicating about those opportunities. We are making overtures to DBEs about what their needs are, and we are being responsive to those needs. We're not guessing about what they need. We're asking what they need, and then we are working hard to make that provision. This is a photograph from our DBE forum last year in Douglasville. I didn't want you to think we were doing this now because nobody's masked up and nobody's socially distanced. This is certainly where we'd like to get back to, but we are absolutely offering as much of an equivalent experience as we can virtually, because again, we want to make sure that DBEs are getting engaged at GDOT, that they are aware of our opportunities and they are able to take advantage of those opportunities. So that is all I have formally, but I'm certainly able to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions from Kimberly?
Mr. Chairman, this is Dana Lemon.
Dana, go ahead, please.
Kimberly, that was a good report, but I'm curious with those numbers that you share with the amount of money that DBEs were making compared to the whole. I need that information included in the reports in the future, and can you update your report and send it out?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely, I can do that.
Any other questions from Kimberly? Kimberly, that was a great report, and thank you for the great work that you do in our DBE program, and the great job. So thank you and your people. Okay, if not, at this time, I'll ask the Commissioner to come, and we have honoring the GEMA Director, Mr. Homer Bryson. And Homer, if you'll come up well, first of all, yes, come up with the Commissioner, if you would, please. And
thank you, Mr. Chair, and ladies and gentlemen, Board. I truly appreciate this opportunity today afforded to me. Usually one of you read this resolution, and I selfishly asked if I could do it. So I'm really honored to have Homer Bryson here today and his much better half, Lisa. Lisa, thank you for being here as well. And furthermore, to ask a retired GEMA Homeland Security Director to come back on the day a hurricane comes through really says something about, I think it says something to Homer's character, because he could have called it in today and said, I'm not getting out of bed or get out of the house. So, I want to read this resolution and say a few words, and it will require this board for someone to make a motion in a second, and I'm sure you will, but let me read this resolution. Whereas Homer Bryson started his career with the Ware County Sheriff's Office in 1981, he later transitioned to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources in 1983 as a game warden. Bryson served as the Colonel of Law Enforcement Section and later as the Deputy Commissioner, Chief Operating Officer of the agency. Whereas Bryson's experienced several accomplishments during his time with DNR, including supporting and managing security planning for the 1996 Olympic Games. That seems like yesterday. He also participated on the Law Enforcement Executive Steering Committee, which was responsible for planning and implementing security efforts for the Sea Island Group of 8 Economic Summit, affectionately known as G8. I remember that's just a little event. The largest deployment of law enforcement officers in Georgia's history occurred there. In addition, Bryson led as coordinator the deployment of 100 DNR officers to Louisiana for the search, rescue, and law enforcement operations in response to Hurricane Katrina. Whereas Bryson also led partnerships efforts between DNR and the National Marine Fisheries Services to secure $980,000 for increased enforcement of federal fisheries and endangered species laws along coastal Georgia through the Joint Enforcement Agencies Joint Enforcement Agreement. In year one of the Joint Enforcement Agreement, he wrote the first state operations plan, which became the national template for other states to use. Whereas Bryson was appointed by Governor Nathan Deal as Commissioner of the Georgia Department of Corrections in 2015, he was responsible for supervising over 52,000 state prisoners within 33 state prisons, 23 county prisons, and 4 private prisons. He enhanced public safety by focusing on the reentry efforts to include implementation of 2 charter schools, utilization of tablets for programming, and expansion of vocational programming such as diesel and welding. More than 25,000 offenders enrolled. In addition, Bryson spearheaded the largest pay increase for Georgia Department of Corrections frontline officers in the history of the agencies, with over $23 million appropriated. Whereas Bryson was appointed by Governor Nathan Deal as Director of Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency, GEMA/Homeland Security. In 2016, GEMA coordinates the state's preparedness, response, and recovery efforts to the natural and man-made disasters. As Director, Bryson has managed 7 presidentially declared disasters, resulting in over $327 million in federal reimbursements to Georgia, state agencies, local governments, and nonprofits. Because of his leadership, Bryson was awarded Georgia's Public Safety Award in 2018 for his contributions to law enforcement. Whereas Homer Bryson has faithfully served the state of Georgia for 38 years and had served law enforcement for over 40 years, he's consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership abilities, promotes teamwork, communication, and collaboration. He's also known as a person who is open-minded, approachable, even-tempered, and someone who believes in using common sense approach to achieve goals. Whereas the Georgia Department of Transportation has greatly benefited from the leadership and expertise as such of the work of the department requires ongoing collaboration with leaders of organizations such as the Georgia Department of Natural Resources and the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency for evaluating and monitoring how projects affect the environment, to deploy law enforcement during major events or natural disasters. Therefore, be it resolved that the State Transportation Board recognizes Homer Bryson for his exemplary contributions, his loyal service, and for his leadership and unwavering commitment to the citizens of Georgia and the Georgia Department of Transportation. A copy of this resolution shall be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and a suitable copy be presented to Homer Bryson in honor and recognition of his commitment, service, substantive contributions to the Georgia Department of Transportation and the state of Georgia. Mr. Chair, I put this in front of the board for your favorable consideration.
Do I have a motion? A second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Motion carries.
Homer, I'm going to give you the mic, but I just, again, this nice resolution, and you know, you have opportunities to work with a lot of people, and whenever we're working with GEMA, it's not the best of times. And I just want to, again, commend Homer for his leadership, his steady hand, his friendship in there, keeping an even mind, keep level-headed in times of emergency is rare, and he certainly has the capability and did that. But you know, I think the testament of somebody is when you know you're better because you know that better person because of Homer Bryson. So Homer,
Wow.
say a few words.
That's the fact follow. The reality is this: I probably get more from them than they get from me. When I went in my position at GEMA Homeland Security, I knew a little bit about the agency. I knew who the major partners were, but in my 4 years there, as the commissioner mentioned, it's been unrelenting with tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, flooding, bridges burning on the interstates, and now and the last several months we've been all dealing with the pandemic and peaceful protests, trying to support those, and then managing civil unrest too. And GEMA Homeland Security is a small agency. Most people do not realize how small we are. We're 130 employees. So I'm in the relationship partnership business. And that's really what you have to do to be successful in the position that I just left. And it's very dangerous to pick favorites with other state agencies because you have to work with them. But I can say without hesitation that there is no better agency in state government than GDOT when it comes to helping local communities in time of need. And that goes directly to your leadership. So you should be proud of that. You really, really should. We hear a lot about paving today and bridges, but, you know, a lot that GDOT does that people don't realize. Larry Barnes sitting in the back here. A lot of the video that you saw on TV a lot of the state law enforcement effort related to assisting Atlanta PD with protest and rioting over the last several months was worked out of the State Operations Center at GEMA. And Larry, or his counterpart, have been in there every day that we were operational, utilizing your GDOT cameras to assist us with that. And that's just one of the small examples of how GDOT supports in ways that people really don't think about and don't appreciate. But it's been a pleasure. I'm so proud of what we've done as agencies working together, but I'm way more proud of the friendships that's been developed. And I'm going to end with a story, because I'm an old cop, and old cops tell war stories. Several decades ago, I was a ranger on the coast of Georgia, and Representative Ann Purcell had a tornado go through a trailer park in her district. And we went over and stayed several days, helped support the locals with that effort. And a few weeks later, Miss Ann called and invited everyone to come. She had a little luncheon to show her appreciation for that. And so we went to the luncheon, and they served low country boil, and it was great. They served it in a hog trough. Never seen that before, never seen it since. I love you, Miss Ann.
Mr. Bryson, we want to thank you, the board, and great job that you've done as our director. At this time, is any other new business to come before the board? If not, hear a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We adjourn.